Hello everyone and welcome to RadioCSIRT English Edition, your daily appointment with cybersecurity news. I am Marc Frederic Gomez, your French cybersecurity voice for today's threat landscape. Today is Thursday, December 25th, 2025. This is episode 61, broadcasting live from the Qatar lands in Occitanie. On today's program, a geopolitical sequence focusing on the decision by the United States to impose visa restrictions on several European technology regulators, including Thierry Breton, amid rising transatlantic tensions surrounding the Digital Services Act. We will then analyze CVE 2018-25154, a critical buffer overflow vulnerability in GNU Barcode enabling arbitrary code execution, as well as CVE 2023-36525, an unauthenticated blind SQL injection affecting the WP Job Board WordPress plugin. We will also revisit the FBI seizure of the web 3adspanels.org infrastructure used as a backend to store compromised banking credentials in large-scale phishing campaigns. Finally, we will cover Urban VPN Proxy, a free VPN extension whose recent versions intercept and exfiltrate artificial intelligence platform conversations, along with the active exploitation of an older FortiGate flaw, allowing two-factor authentication bypass through LDAP authentication mechanisms. CVE 2020-12812 affects FortiGate and enables a two-factor authentication bypass through username case manipulation. The signal is driven by a case-sensitive username check on FortiGate, conflicting with case-insensitive LDAP handling, when local FortiGate users with two-factor authentication reference LDAP accounts and LDAP groups are used in authentication policies for admin access, SSL VPN or IPsec VPN, altering username casing prevents a local match. FortiGate then falls back to LDAP group authentication without enforcing two-factor authentication, potentially allowing administrative or VPN access without token validation. Urban VPN Proxy operates as an active application layer data harvester since July 2025. Starting with version 5.5.0, the extension embeds executor scripts designed to intercept interactions with AI platforms. Captured data includes prompts, responses, conversation identifiers, timestamps, platform name, and AI model version. Harvesting is enabled by default through hard-coded configuration flags with no user opt-out. The data is exfiltrated to a third-party entity focused on user data monetization. The observed scope extends to multiple extensions sharing the same codebase, impacting several million active installations across Chromium-based browsers. The domain web3adspanels.org was identified as back-end infrastructure used to aggregate stolen banking credentials. The infrastructure supported phishing campaigns leveraging fraudulent search engine advertisements, impersonating legitimate financial institutions. Victims were redirected to cloned websites embedding credential harvesting code. Captured credentials were stored and managed through a dedicated web panel. The observed activity includes direct reuse of harvested logins against legitimate banking portals to perform account takeover operations. The infrastructure remained operational until late 2025. It contained a large volume of active credential records at the time of disruption. CVE 2023-36525 impacts the WordPress WP Job Board plugin up to version 5.9.0. It exposes an unauthenticated blind SQL injection vulnerability. The CVSS score is 8.6 on CVSS 3.1. The signal originates from improper neutralization of special characters in SQL queries, reachable without authentication. Exploitation is remotely achievable through injectable HTTP parameters. No user interaction or privileges are required. The attack surface includes WordPress instances running the affected plugin. Observed impact includes indirect data extraction, modification of stored records, and potential availability degradation depending on database structure and application context. CVE 2018-25154 impacts GNU Barcode version 0.99. It exposes a buffer overflow in the code 93 encoding mechanism. The signal originates from improper boundary handling during input file processing. Crafted input triggers memory corruption through an out-of-bounds write condition. Exploitation is possible without authentication or user interaction. Reported exposure includes network reachable attack paths. The CVSS 3.1 score is critical at 9.8. The operational impact includes potential arbitrary code execution in the context of the vulnerable process. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability are affected. Article 4. We conclude this episode with a geopolitical note impacting the cyber domain. The United States have imposed visa restrictions on 5 European figures involved in the regulation of digital platforms. This includes Thierry Breton, former European Commissioner for the Internal Market. The information was made public on December 24, 2025. It was released by the United States Department of State and relayed notably by 01net and official United States communications. According to United States authorities, these sanctions target actions described as extraterritorial censorship against American technology platforms. Secretary of State Marco Rubio explicitly criticized the role of European regulators and organizations. This includes the enforcement of frameworks such as the Digital Services Act, the DSA. On the European side, the European Commission condemned the measure. It requested formal explanations from Washington. European Union authorities recalled that the Digital Services Act was adopted by the European Parliament and the member states. They stated that it constitutes a legal framework applicable to the Union's internal market. Several European leaders, including French President Emmanuel Macron, described these sanctions as an attack on European regulatory sovereignty. The other individuals targeted, according to statements by United States Under-Secretary of State Sarah Rogers, are linked to organizations working on countering disinformation and online hate speech. They are accused by the United States administration of contributing to increased regulatory pressure on digital platforms. This episode occurs in a context of heightened tensions between Washington and Brussels over technology regulation. In early December 2025, the European Commission imposed a significant fine on Platform X. This decision was criticized by United States officials as an attack on American technology companies. The use of visa restrictions as a diplomatic lever marks an evolution in the transatlantic balance of power. It shifts the conflict from the legal and economic arena to a political and symbolic register. It directly targets individuals associated with digital regulation. This sequence illustrates a structural divergence between two models. On one side, a European approach based on platform regulation in the name of user protection and market integrity. On the other, a United States interpretation emphasizing freedom of expression and contesting regulations perceived as extraterritorial. The main sources for this sequence are statements from the United States Department of State, public communications from the European Commission, and articles published by 01net, Reuters, and official messages posted on X by the relevant officials. And that's it. This edition ends here. I hope it provided you with clear, accurate, and useful information. Until then, we don't think, we patch. If you are a new listener, feel free to subscribe to the RadioCSIRT podcast. RadioCSIRT is available in English, Italian, Spanish, and French. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, Deezer, and Spotify. All open source intelligence links used in this episode are available on RadioCSIRT.com. See you tomorrow for a new episode. Take care. Goodbye.